Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
So first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
I couldn't agree more. During these bad times, there's still some good ideas.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, best-selling author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
It was 1933, right in the middle of the Great Depression, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt became our country's 32nd president. Frustrated with the current administration's lack of ability to curtail Wall Street and the subsequent collapse of the banking industry, Americans were broke and desperate and wanted new leadership to try to get them out of this economic mess they were in. So, with an understanding of their desperation and seeing as though the government appeared to be the only saving grace for the good old US of A, FDR, through Congress, passed an emergency spending bill to deal with the banking crisis, which was called the New Deal. And it would forever change the way government would step in at times of economic crisis to assist Americans. Today, as we record this show on March 24th, 2020, we are dealing with not the collapse of the banking system, nor necessarily the collapse of Wall Street, but with a new virus that, as a result of the panic of the COVID-19 virus, as it's called, we are in economic dire straits, something in my 60 years on planet Earth I never thought I would witness. With a stock market in a free fall, our political leaders in turmoil over what to do, and an American public that is quite frankly paralyzed with fear of their future today, and for the next few weeks, I'm going to try to avoid all the gloom and doom reporting on this matter and instead arm you with financial information on how to best deal right now with all of this bad news. In fact, we're calling this series, In Bad Times, There's Still Good Ideas. Well, welcome folks to the Worry-Free Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, retirement planning specialist, Tony Walker. And with us, as always, in our Louisville studios is America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander, and along with his sidekick, Miss Megan Murphy. Okay, with so much changing so quickly and seeing as though this show is pre-recorded, let me repeat the date of today's show, March 24th, 2020. I do so because of how quickly things are changing for the worse, but in hopes that by the time you watch this program, maybe they'll be a little better. You know what, though? Regardless of when we come out of this mess, one thing is for sure. While I don't know much about viruses and the best way to eradicate them, I do know a lot about money and how best to use and enjoy and protect it. And that's the topic of our show. So let's get it right now. This is the first of several shows where we're going to talk about the history first of this deadly virus and what's happened to our country, and then the usual reaction to these so-called viruses and the stock market. We're going to take a look specifically at the swine flu. Now, the swine flu is serious stuff, just like the coronavirus. And nobody, though, took it nearly as serious back then, back in 2009. So as we can see from this graphic, between 2009 and 2010, smack dab in the middle of the swine flu, the stock market was already going up. So we've been here before, folks. Many deadly viruses have washed up on the shores of our country, and unfortunately, they have taken many lives. But for some reason, a reason that nobody seems to explain, this virus, the coronavirus, is causing much panic and literally has shut down our economy. Now let's begin with this. Let's go through a basic lesson of economy, and we'll call this Economics 101. In order to understand what a government shutdown of businesses will do to the economy, I want you to think about the US of A as a body. You know, there's many parts to the body. There's organs, there's limbs, you name it, the body's got a lot of parts. And that body has to work together to be efficient and remain healthy. But there's one component of this body that, if cut off, will eventually kill the body, and that's blood. You see, blood carries oxygen throughout the body so that the limbs and the various organs can live. You cut off the blood supply and the body's going to die. So too with our economy. The economy must have money flowing through it on a regular basis. The money is just like blood. You cut off that money to any part of the body and it'll die. Take the restaurant industry, for example, one of the hardest hits by this government shutdown of businesses. If a restaurant can only provide food through a drive-through window, let's say, depending on the type of restaurant, and let's say they only have sit-down business, they don't have a drive-through, they're going to lose business. They're going to lose revenue. They're going to lose blood. See what I'm saying? Well, what are they going to have to do? Well, they're going to have to lay off people. Maybe a couple of those limbs are going to have to be cut off. Then after they lay off workers, it doesn't stop there. When the blood stops, then possibly that restaurant owner cannot afford rent payments to the landlord. But it still doesn't stop, because when the rent payments stop to the landlord then possibly cannot pay back the bank for the money the landlord borrowed on the building that the landlord is renting to the restaurateur. You see where we're going with this? I mean, this goes on and on and on. It's not just one part of the body that is affected by cutting off the flow of money, it's many parts, and this is what you're seeing play out. So, as a consumer, there's nothing right now you can do about the way this lack of money supply is affecting you, but guess what? There are things you can do when working with a retirement planning specialist that, again, in these bad times could possibly be very good ideas. I'm going to cover those in detail. You're watching the Worry-Free Retirement. I'm Tony Walker. I'll be right back. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no obligation appointment. Let us help you today.
And now it's time for Tony in the Trenches.
Our Tony in the Trenches question is an interesting one. It says, my financial advisor tells me that I need to continue to invest my money because 70 is the new 60. But I like your comment, Tony, live well, die broke. So what is enough to retire on? Well, this is a great question, and what frustrates me sometimes, especially those on Wall Street, when things like this happen, when we experience a 20, 30, 40% drop in the market, it's always back on the consumer. It's the consumer's problem now, and I don't know what this 70-60 thing means. I guess it means we're going to have to work longer. You know what? The theme running through my recent best-selling book, Live Well, Die Broke, is that money is nothing more than a tool to be used and enjoyed, and if you wait too long to spend it, you lose it. You see, over time, money's a funny thing. It actually becomes worth less. Don't believe me? Just watch what will happen to the value of your dollar if Congress passes this $2 trillion spending bill as a result of the reaction to this coronavirus. This printing of money out of thin air and the debt it's going to create will crush the current dollars in your pocket, making them worth less. Add to the fact that the stock market is tanking and banks and insurance companies are paying next to nothing on your money, all the while you're afraid to spend it. This all adds up to fear, worry, and a lot of nonsensical behavior, folks. We attempt to make money our servant, but as a result of not understanding money and because of a lot of goofy actions we tend to take, we become the servant to the money. So my points today and for the next couple of weeks are actually for everyone, not just those who are losing their derriere in the stock market. Whether you have 100% of your money in the market or not, what you can learn from these recent events and this chaos can actually help you take action now. So let's take a look at a laundry list of items that we use at Tony Walker Financial for our options to help us with these particular problems and solutions. Oh, by the way, we wanted to know a little bit about laundry list and where the origin of this whole concept of laundry list came from. So we went to our resident laundry expert, Megan Murphy, to help explain the whole notion of laundry list. Megan, take it away.
Well, Tony, way back in the 1800s, commercial laundry services really started to take off. So when someone dropped off their dirty laundry, there needed to be a record of it so that you paid for what got washed and got the right clothes back. By the 1860s, itemized lists had become a big hit, hence the term laundry list. Ooh, a sweater vest.
Thank you, Megan, for that live report. Now get out of there and wash your hands and get back to work. All right, here we go. What are some things we can do right now to take action? Well, number one is the worry-free split IRA concept, something we created years ago. Now, folks, this is a managed process. Remember, we're not money managers. We're not shuffling your money around like a deck of cards and when the market crashes telling you to hang in there. This is a process to manage your overall finances so you're not taking a lot of risk. You know, the reason a lot of our clients aren't overly worried is because we don't have too much money in the stock market. This protects us. We have some money in the market possibly, but because we have so much in fixed annuities, we're not losing any money. A wonderful way to consider putting more worry-free money to work for you. That's what this is called, the worry-free split IRA concept. All right, number two, let's look at the second option we can do, Roth conversions. Look at this chart real quick. What is a Roth conversion? Now again, this is something you better know what you're doing because this is actually instigating a tax. We're taking money and intentionally we're going to convert it to a Roth and elect to pay the taxes. This is a huge decision, one that should not be taken lightly, and we do a lot of these. We'll get into more detail on this on one of our further shows. Again, we're going to cover a couple of shows on details of all these options. Let's take a look at number three, Megan. What's another thing we can do? Many of you are sitting there and you have stock that you purchased years ago outside of an IRA. We call this a non-qualified or low cost basis stock. For instance, you might have bought Mutual of Nairobi years ago and it was at $4 a share. Maybe it's gone up to $100 a share and you don't want to sell it because of the capital gains taxes, but you need the money. So you're in a dilemma. You need the money, but if you sell it, you pay the taxes. So you know what most people don't do? They don't sell it and they don't use and enjoy the money. Now the value of Mutual of Nairobi stock is down, let's say, might be a good time to sell it and go on and at least take your winnings off the table. We can help you think through this. Number four, here's another option. Why don't you just spend more money now versus later? You know, many people have come to me, and especially in our Schwab platform, they've actually been taking money over the last year. Now, granted, their accounts are down a little bit, but what's really interesting, the money they took out over the last year, although they've spent it, if they didn't spend it, they would have lost it. Do you see what I'm saying? Because the market went down, but instead they got some of that money out when the market was high. So you need a plan of saving, but more importantly, you need somebody that knows how to construct a plan of spending, which we do. I love number five here. Reduce the darn fees. Come on, folks. It's true, and we're like that too. We do charge fees. We do better when you do better. So if we're charging 0.8% and somebody's charging 1.5% to 2%, when you do worse, they're really going to do a lot better. So you've got to get a handle on these fees. These fee savings that we can offer you, in most cases, can put thousands of dollars back in your pocket. You got to watch those fees. Number six, this is kind of an interesting one. Most people do not understand life insurance. For years, people have been on the radio and TV, people that are not economically savvy, people who don't understand long-term retirement planning, and they've told you not to buy permanent life insurance. It's insane because this is the only policy that's going to pay off when you die. All other insurance contracts could be possibly a waste of money. What do we do with this? Well, we overfund that. There are many advantages. There's no fees. There's no risk. And when we die, not if we die, when we die, we can replace valuable assets that we've spent tax-free. Who wouldn't want that? By the way, if you'd like to see an illustration, we do these at Tony Walker Financial free of charge. Number seven, here we've got just a few more. Hang in there. My beloved mailbox money. You know, we have someone in the office, two people this week that said, you know what, Tony, with all this craziness out there, I got that mailbox money over there with you. Can I kick that in? Can I start income? Can I start mailbox money now? I just want some income for the rest of my life. And I said, absolutely. These folks are going to get $20,000 a year based on what they've put in these annuities, $20,000 a year, remember, for the rest of their life. If he dies, his wife still gets $20,000 a year. And you say, well, what's left when you die? We'll go over that in another show, but who cares? If you use all the money and nothing's left and you die broke, all the more reason to consider mailbox money. That's what it's for, folks, is for you so that you won't outlive your money. Let's go to the next one. What are we on? Number 8 here, fixed indexed annuities. These came out in the late 90s. After 9/11, we started using these, one of the first in the country to start publicly advertising these. We got shot down. A lot of people have got shot down for selling these. Now, all of a sudden, with the market going down, you're going to hear about these. Why? Because they are unaffected by stock market losses. Money in a fixed indexed annuity will not go down as a result of the stock market. So again, if you're a saver, worried about the return of your money, what's not to like about these? We do these all the time. Number 9. Oh, I love this. OPM. That stands for other people's money. Now, folks, I'm not wanting to just borrowing money to borrow money, but did you realize I had a client in do this the other day? I suggested doing it. Interest rates are at an all-time low. This person already had a mortgage, had all these debts all over the place, all this high interest debt. I convinced this person to go back, refinance their home, include all those debts in there, get a lower interest rate, and actually their cash flow has shot through the roof. So don't forget, other people's money is a powerful concept. We can teach you how to do that and take advantage of using other people's money. And finally, number 10, why in the world would you not be working with a trained retirement planning specialist, a fiduciary? And this is all we do. Folks, we've done over 4,000 written, I didn't say financial illustrations, that's not what we're talking about here, written game plans for our saver clients, and we want the opportunity to meet with you. So if any of this sounds good, look at all these items we could be trying to help you with. Let's see if any of these fit your situation. Log on now, right now, to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Click on that Let's Get Started. I will be happy myself or either one of our fiduciaries, Heather Hughes, or my favorite son-in-law, Trey, be happy to meet with you to discuss your situation to see if any of these might help you get ahead of the 8 ball. Well, I'm Tony Walker. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to show you something on the whiteboard that's very, very interesting. We're going to take one of these, just a smidgen of the Roth conversion. I want to show you something that's very, very powerful, and why, because of the lower stock market prices, you may want to take advantage of this. Hang in there. You're watching the Worry-Free Retirement. Who can you trust? It's one of the most important decisions you'll have to make. Question is, are you ready? Well, we're here to help at Tony Walker Financial. You know, we care more about you than we do your money, and we have over 2,000 happy clients and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau to prove it. Rolling over a 401k, confused about Social Security, maybe you're afraid of running out of money. Learn how to use and enjoy and protect your hard-earned money. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started. A lot of people out there, telling you what you ought to be doing. And there's a bunch of these. I'm not trying to be critical of this one, but here's an example. This one is how to handle your 401k if you're close to retirement amid the coronavirus market crash. This gentleman apparently appeared on Fox, Chris Burns. Okay, goes on and on and on with things that, quite frankly, may help you, may not help you, because they don't know your situation. About the only thing he mentions that I can say right on is he says, if you're close to retirement right now, what you should do, what you should sell, how you should arrange your investments really needs to be based on the totality of your situation. What he's basically saying is, folks, it all just depends, and you've got to get with somebody trained to look at everything. So don't just listen to all this blind advice you're getting without sitting down with a trained retirement specialist. Let's take Roth conversions, for instance. Look at this. Now, why would you want to consider a Roth conversion? Again, don't rush out and do this, but let me show you what I'm thinking about. Remember, the theme of today's show is what can we do during bad times that are good ideas? So your stock, let's say your 401k on January 20th was $100,000, for instance. Well, now, as of March 2020, let's say it's down to $70,000. Well, remember, there's still a tax tumor in there. One day in the future, at some point, it doesn't matter what it's worth, the government is going to tax that money, assuming it's pre-tax. So who knows what the tax rates are going to be? I can assure you this, though, if they had $2 trillion of more debt because of this stimulus package, and when these rates expire in 2026, my guess is, as a fiduciary and somebody that knows a lot about money and works in money, I think they're going through the roof. I don't know about you. So let's think about this. You're now at $70,000. We don't know what the future value of this is going to be because it's in the stock market, but we do know something right now. If we take this $70,000 now, okay, and convert it to a Roth, we'll show you how to do this. We convert it to a Roth. That means you're going to pay taxes now, all right? And let's just say you're in a 20% bracket. So you are going to have to pay $14,000 in taxes. Now keep in mind, in the future, if this thing grows back to $500,000, you could owe $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 in taxes. Who knows what the rates will be? But in this example, we're going to throw the government a bone. We're going to say, no, we're going to pay our taxes now. We're going to give you $14,000 of cash. We're going to convert this to a Roth. And here's what's pretty cool about this. Let's say in the future, let's say that future value one day is $500,000, all right? And we're talking 20 years from now. Let's say the market goes back up to $500,000 or whatever it's going to be. Listen closely. Because you paid the $14,000 in taxes. Remember, if you'd never converted this and this is worth $500,000 and you're in a 30% bracket, you're going to owe $150,000 in taxes on that money. It's crazy, all right? But in this case, you would owe $0 in taxes. And here's the best part. If you die with this money still intact, instead of the tax tumor being passed off to your kids, guess what? They would get whatever's left, or the $500,000 or the balance. They're going to get it completely tax-free. So folks, I don't know what you're thinking. I know these are bad times. I'm not trying to belittle anything about what's going on, but there are so many planning opportunities. Why don't you take advantage of meeting with somebody that's been doing this over 35 years? I will meet with you, but if you've got money and you've been losing money and you've got significant amounts of money that you're trying to protect, why don't we talk? All you do is log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Let's get started and see how we can help you and your money. We know we've been talking a lot about viruses and cures, and I think this virus is obviously going to get cured, but you know what? There's one virus that nobody ever talks about. There is no man-made cure. It's the deadliest virus of them all. And when you figure out how to take care of that virus, I guarantee you'll quit worrying more about this stuff and trusting more in God. Bible's got some good stuff to say. I got to get me a cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Worried about running out of money in retirement? Then download Mailbox Money for Life from best-selling author and retirement planning specialist Tony Walker. Just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no obligation appointment. Let us help you today. As we record this show on March 24th, 2020, the world is very fearful of what will happen as a result of a potentially deadly virus that is spreading throughout the world, known as the coronavirus, or more popularly referred to by the media as COVID-19. As bad and potentially deadly as this virus is, or any virus for that matter, you know what? None of these viruses are guaranteed to kill you. There is, though, one unknown virus that will. It's the nastiest, the most persistent, and deadliest virus of them all, and it's called the sin virus. And since nobody seems to be too concerned about the sin virus anymore, just to get people's attention, I decided to rename it DVOA 2020. And keeping in stock with the media's branding of COVID-19, I had our graphics artist, Megan Murphy, rebrand the DVOA 2020 as well. Got your attention, doesn't it? So what does DVOA 2020 stand for? Well, the DVOA stands for Deadliest Virus of All, and 2020 represents the year that I decided to rename the world's oldest virus, 2020 being the current year. But unlike man, who doesn't have a cure for this virus, I do. This whole sin virus thing actually started thousands of years ago with Adam and Eve when they went against God, and through their sin entered the world. These two had it made. They had eternal paradise, and they blew it. And as a result, it brought about death to not just them, but to us, inflicting everyone, the whole world, with DVOA 2020. You know, the Bible says that the wages of sin is death. Because of the sin that came through one man, Adam, the world is going to have to die, and the virus that will kill us may not be the swine flu or COVID-19, but it will be the sin virus. So what drug do we use to inoculate ourselves from this deadliest of viruses? It's called faith.
I'm just rubber. I'm just wonderful.
No, I'm not talking about that kind of faith, folks. I'm talking about real faith in something that happened over 2,000 years ago. You see, there's no man-made cure for DVOA 2020. That's because there is no need for one. God took care of this 2,000 years ago when a man named Christ died at the cross for you and I. His death eradicated the power of DVOA 2020 forever. We now have life, and the Bible says the sting of death is gone. It has no more power over us, but by faith we have overcome this sin virus. Again, Romans 6:23 says this, "For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life in Christ Jesus." We are faced with a pandemic fear over a virus, folks, that one day it'll go away, just like smallpox or any other virus. COVID-19 will one day be a distant memory. But we are infected by this virus called sin. You're still going to worry about money in life well after COVID-19 or whatever's gone. Man will continue to disappoint us. And you know what? All the money you think that is yours stockpiled away, you'll find out one day it's not, and one day you and I will die broke. But armed with the good news of how to beat this virus, we should not live in fear, no matter how grim life might appear or how little toilet paper we've got on the supermarket shelves. So why in the world, folks, would you be fearful of a world that offers nothing everlasting? Why in the world would you not fear God, who has the ability to help us through this madness? You know what? The Bible says that the beginning of the wisdom is fear of the Lord, and I hope you're putting your trust in Him and not on the foolish wisdom of men. Well, how about you? You might be sitting there saying, Tony, that's all well and good, and those are very, very encouraging words, but let's get back to that list of 10 things. Can I try to do some things now to improve my situations? Are there really good things, good ideas in these bad times? You bet there is, and I'm here to try to help you overcome some of your fears. It's called the Worry-Free Retirement. I've been doing this for 35 years, and I would love the opportunity to sit down with you and see if we can help you worry less about money. And best of all, it's free and it's easy to do. All you have to do right now is log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on that Let's Get Started button. We'll set up a no-obligation appointment to talk with you by phone. So do it now. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Well, we hope you've enjoyed today's show. Next week, we're going to go into a deeper dive into these 10 things you can do when bad times are happening. I hope you've enjoyed today's program. I look forward to seeing you next week on the Worry-Free Retirement. But between now and then, you remember, if all else fails, be worry-free.